Okay, hello everybody. Today we're here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 in the Cessna 152. We have a 64 nautical mile flight from Alpha Victor Papa, Wilkes-Barre Scranton International, to India Papa Tango, Williamsport Regional. We'll be getting there via a diversion, flying first to Skyhaven 7-6 November. It's something that I've done in real life during my flight training, and I'll include a clip so you can see what that looks like. I've been enjoying the open beta of Say Intentions AI, and we'll be using their ATC for this flight. Should be an awesome flight, so let's hop into the pilot seat and get started. Alright, we're sitting on the ramp here at AVP, so we'll start by getting the window open. Next we'll head down and verify that our parking brake is set, battery and alternator are off, switches are all off, car beat in, mixture idle, and throttle idle. We'll get the trim wheel set to the takeoff position. We'll turn the fuel selector to the on position, turn on the battery, alternator, and beacon. Check our fuel quantity, left, right. They both read full tank, which looks good. We'll get the mixture in. We'll prime it. 1, 2, 3. We've got the throttle cracked. Check that the prop is clear. Clear prop. Feet on the brakes, keys in the ignition, and crank it over. Alright, we do have oil pressure and RPMs are just above 1,000, so we'll bring those down. Next, we'll head over to the mixture and lean it for ground operations. If my voice sounds different in this recording, it's because I'm wearing one of my actual aviation headsets, which are my David Clarks, which are connected to my laptop via a Flight Solo GA aviation adapter. Alright, we'll get all of our avionics on. There we go, COM1, COM2, transponder to standby. Alright, as I get everything set up here, I'll open up ForeFlight and take you through the flight brief. So we're departing from Wilkes-Barre Scranton, which is a Class Delta, flying to 7-6 November, which is an untowered field in Tunkhannock on the Susquehanna River. That's where we're going to divert and instead fly to Williamsport. When I've done this in the past, it's been for a cross-country planned to Binghamton. Our first waypoint is usually near Tunkhannock, and that's where they divert me. Williamsport is a Class Delta here to the west. Now you'll notice we've got all of these circles around AVP now. That's because in real life there's a TFR here currently, and it's kind of fun when you read presidential TFRs because they always have a threat of murder in them, which is the United States may use deadly force against airborne aircraft that don't comply with the TFR and our security risks. So I mentioned we used Williamsport for diversions in my flight lessons. Here's a clip of what that looks like.
But let's say I'm sick, and let's say I want you to divert to Williamsport.
Williamsport.
Number 731, you can contact
Airport.
Town approach
I don't even know what airport that
124.45.
is.
Have a wonderful day.
Go ahead and take a look on there.
Alright, would you grab the controls?
Yeah, sure. Williamsport.
Aircraft 1 in the lane at Wilkes-Barre approach.
Should be to the west,
3045,
right on the edge of the
take off
sectional.
I see Danville, Northumberland. Williamsport's up here. This is Williamsport. Okay, I see
Perfect.
Williamsport.
So, first things first. Thing we do right away, turn towards it.
Alright, so we're going to go west.
Okay.
November 4, Romeo Papa Squawk,
Kind of
024
southwest.
0243.
So my guess is like 240.
Yeah, that works.
November 731, contact Allentown approach 124.45.
So, that's important. First thing you do, turn right towards it.
Yep.
Next thing we do.
Approach
We got a Williamsport
We got a VOR there, so let's use it.
Yeah, I'll get that in a second once we roll it on 240. We got a nice visual here, which is the Berwick.
November 780 Zulu affirmative, just cross Ranger at maintain 5000.
240. Williamsport is 1144. 114. Oops. 4.
November 4.
So there we used Williamsport VOR, which is to the northeast of the field. It's on 114.4, and that's what we're going to use for this flight to navigate to Williamsport. Next, normally I'd get the ATIS, but I can't, and it's because Wilkes-Barre is weird. So up until last year, the ATIS for Wilkes-Barre was transmitted over the VOR frequency of 101.6 and only receivable on a nav radio. If you have Navigraph, you have the updated frequencies. I don't, so the data's about a year old, and it's still on the nav radio. Wilkes-Barre ground, Cessna 565 Whiskey, VFR request. So this just means I won't be able to give the weather code for all of my requests here on the ground.
Cessna 565 Whiskey Wilkes-Barre, ground, I hear you. 1 sec. Cessna 565 Whiskey Wilkes-Barre, ground. Go ahead with your VFR request.
Cessna 565 Whiskey is a C152 Slant Alpha. We'd like flight following destination Skyhaven, 7-6 November at 4,500.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, I am working on that clearance. Stand by. Cessna 65 Whiskey cleared to Skyhaven Airport as requested. On departure, maintain VFR at or below 4,500 feet. Departure on 126.3. Squawk 5444. Expect runway 28.
On departure, maintain VFR at or below 4,500. Departure 126.3, squawk 5444, Cessna 565 Whiskey. Wilkes-Barre ground, Cessna 565 Whiskey, ready to taxi. I think because I didn't have the weather, my brain shorted out there and I decided to give them no information, including my location for some reason.
Cessna 65 Whiskey taxi to runway 28 via Alpha, hold short of runway 28, then continue taxi via Bravo.
Taxi to 28 via Alpha, hold short runway 28, then taxi via Bravo, Cessna 565 Whiskey. Okay, clear right, clear left, clear ahead, test my brakes, and they work.
Tornado 892 Tango Oscar, proceed to holding point Charlie 2 via taxiway Echo and Foxtrot.
Proceeding to holding point Charlie 2 via Echo and Foxtrot, Tornado 892 Tango Oscar.
Renee Brown, good evening. Boeing 32 Papa Romeo with information number IFR to Pyrenees, ready, copy, clearance.
Vueling 22 Papa Romeo, cleared to Pyrenees via the Godet 5W departure, then as file. Departure runway 28, initial climb to 2,000 feet. Departure on 134.2, squawk 2413.
We're clear to Pyrenees via the Go Down 5 Whiskey departure, then as filed, runway 28, climb 2,000 feet, frequency 134.2, we'll squawk 2413, Boeing 32 Papa Romeo.
Parkers for ground, Skyhawk 2 Charlie Papa, clear runway 28, request taxi to parking.
Key West 1, American 2456, requesting IFR departure to Tampa. We have information, Quebec.
As we do the run-up, I'll comment that I love that I have the option to let other pilots hear me, as well as the option to hear other pilots, because it makes you feel like you're flying with people just like on VATSIM, and it's a very VATSIM-like experience. Wilkes-Barre ground, Cessna 565 Whiskey, holding short runway 28, ready for departure. I said ground again.
Cessna 565 Whiskey Wilkes-Barre Tower, runway 28, cleared for takeoff. After takeoff, fly runway heading until reaching 2,500, then proceed on course to Skyhaven Airport.
Cleared for takeoff runway 28, fly runway heading until 2,500, then proceed on course, Cessna 565 Whiskey. I should say the intent of today's video is not to be a review because this is still the beta version. They haven't released it formally yet, so we'll wait until it's released to do a review for it. But I'm making the video because I am having great fun with the beta version, and I wanted to do a flight where I didn't test it out or put it through its paces, but just used it the way that I want to use it, which is doing flights in my local area, talking to ATC just like I would in real life. I think what's really cool about it is I can fly out of any of my local airports and have a ground controller, have a different tower controller, have them hand me off to a different approach controller. It's awesome because I really can't get ATC coverage where I live, because VATSIM usually doesn't have coverage for it, and when they do have coverage, it's just a single controller covering, say, all of New York Center.
Diamond Tree 7-1 Bravo Charlie, report midfield for left base entry.
Wilco Tower will report midfield for left base entry, Diamond Tree 7-1 Bravo Charlie.
On comms, you hear a mix of real-life people and AI pilots, and the AI pilots are actually pretty cool. I was on CTAF the other day, and there were AI CTAF calls. The AI CTAF calls were really impressive. It was two pilots talking back and forth to each other. One was on the ground saying, "I've got you in sight, I'll hold short until after you land." Another one saying, "I'll extend my downwind for traffic on final." It was cool.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, contact departure.
Over to departure, Cessna 65 Whiskey. In real life, I always listen for the first 10 seconds before speaking so I don't step on someone. Wilkes-Barre departure, Cessna 565 Whiskey, 1,900, climbing 4,500.
Cessna 565 Whiskey, Wilkes-Barre, approach, radar contact. Piper 219er Sierra Victor, climb to 6,500, heading 130. American 1145, slow to 170 knots. 5 mile final contact tower, 118.3, good night.
Will remain this frequency and expect runway 20 right.
Diamond 786 Juliet Kilo, climb to 5,500, contact center on 124.7.
5,500 switching to 124.778, 6 Juliet Kilo.
Turn left heading 210.
7,000 left to 210, JetBlue 183.
Piper 219er Sierra Victor, climb to 6,500, heading 130.
Up to 6,500, heading 130, 219er Sierra Victor.
Alright, we've got Skyhaven in sight just ahead of the strut there, and this is the point where my instructor would say we're going to divert to Williamsport. And because we've got flight falling and they're expecting us to land at Skyhaven, we've got to let approach now. Wilkes-Barre approach, Cessna 565 Whiskey, we'd like to divert to Williamsport, India Papa Tango at 4,500.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, divert to Williamsport. Approved, maintain VFR at or below 4,500.
VFR at or below 4,500, Cessna 565 Whiskey. Alright, we're going to turn west and start heading towards Williamsport. And the plan is to use the VOR to get there. There's lots of different ways you can divert. That's just what we're going to use for this particular diversion. So if we scroll over, we can zoom in and see the VOR frequency is 114.1. So I'm going to dial that into standby for nav1 and then toggle it over to primary. And you can see the course deviation indicator come to
Singapore
life.
Airlines 326, contact departure
So now we
on
just have to figure out what
126.9.
radial
Have a good
we're on. So
flight.
we're going to keep turning the
Whiskey
CDI
for
until it centers up.
thanks, Singapore Airlines
We're going to read the
326.
heading on the CDI and then set that heading on the heading bug and fly that heading. This version of the C-152 does have a nav option to couple the autopilot to the course deviation indicator and just fly the needle itself, but we're going
United
to make it a
540
little harder on
traffic alert at your 3
ourselves
o'clock, 5 miles,
and
same
hand
altitude.
fly it
Advise
for
when
the
in sight.
remainder of the route.
Looking for the traffic, United 540.
34, 0, 1, 22,
Spirit Wing 744 at flight level 240, climbing for flight level 40. Roger, continue on climb, Spirit Wing 744.
Okay, squawking 2413, low Charlie, crossing your right at Boeing 22 Papa Romeo.
Over to 125.275, thank you very much, Spirit Wing 744.
Fly heading 099 vectors for runway approach.
Air Canada 235, hold at Waypoint Briggs, expect further clearance in 10 minutes.
Holding at Briggs, waiting for further clearance. Air Canada 235.
243 to Cessna 5 Bravo Mike.
Require approach Mustang 297 at Whiskey at flight level 8,500.
Departure, good evening, American 2456 at 1,500 feet, climbing to flight level 220.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, contact New York Center on 128.575.
Over to 128.575, Cessna 565 Whiskey. New York Center, Cessna 565 Whiskey, 4,500, direct India Papa Tango.
Cessna 565 Whiskey, New York Center, roger, altimeter 29901.
29901, Cessna 565 Whiskey.
On 124.9er, advise on initial contact, you have information, Oscar.
Contact tower on 128.302 Papa.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, contact Williamsport Tower on 119.1.
Over to tower on 119.1, Cessna 565 Whiskey. Williamsport Tower, Cessna 565 Whiskey, 11 miles east at 4,500, inbound for full stop with information, Oscar.
Cessna 565 Whiskey, Williamsport Tower, enter right downwind for runway 27.
Right downwind, runway 27, Cessna 565 Whiskey.
Skyhawk 90001 Bravo, extend upwind, I'll call your crosswind.
Extending upwind, awaiting crosswind call, Skyhawk 90001 Bravo.
Deer X-ray, golf, reporting midfield downwind, descending to 1,500 feet.
Mooney 824 Foxtrot Delta, reduce speed to 160 knots, traffic on final. Diamond Star Charlie Golf India Mike, Whiskey Detroit Tower, winds 140 at 8, runway 21, right cleared for takeoff.
Critic Tower, Sky 296 Foxtrot, holding short runway 30.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, winds 269er at 9er, runway 27 cleared to land.
Runway 27 cleared to land, Cessna 565 Whiskey.
Roger, American 211.
Skylane 422 Alpha Mike, cleared to land, runway 21.
Cleared to land, runway 21, Skylane 422 Alpha Mike.
Skyhawk 90001 Bravo, hold at taxiway Alpha, traffic on final.
Holding at taxiway Alpha, Skyhawk 90001 Bravo.
Departure on 259er, American 211. See ya.
Cessna 65 Whiskey, welcome to Williamsport. Contact ground on 121.9er.
Over to 121.9er, good day, Cessna 565 Whiskey. Williamsport ground, Cessna 565 Whiskey, clear runway 27 at Alpha, taxi to general aviation parking.
Cessna 565 Whiskey, Williamsport ground, taxi to general aviation parking via Alpha, hold short of runway 27, then continue taxi via Charlie. Have a good evening.
Taxi GA parking via Alpha, hold short 27, then continue via Charlie, Cessna 565 Whiskey.
Hawker 511 Hotel Alpha. Proceed to holding point Bravo 2 via taxiway Charlie. Proceeding to holding point Bravo 2 via Charlie Hawker 511 Hotel Alpha.
Alright, that was great fun. Something interesting happened over the course of the flight, and that is at the beginning of the flight, I was pretty sloppy with my ATC calls. I was swapping ground and tower, I wasn't giving them all the information that was required, and that's because I was being lazy because I was in flight sim mode and not in flying mode. And over the course of the flight, it engaged my ATC brain. Like, I kind of went into flying mode, I could kind of feel it, and you heard me being snappier with my responses and really being on the ball with ATC, and that is what having any type of ATC for your flight will do for you. It changes it from a static flight to something very dynamic that fully immerses you in it. So I hope you enjoyed this flight. If you want to try this out for yourself, it's free. Say Intentions has a free demo that you can fly anywhere you want for 24 hours. Just go to their website and download it. They are constantly making updates and adding new features, so every week to week it seems like it's different and getting better and better. So if you like this content, be sure to click that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, as always, for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.